And we are joined now by Alexforbes CEO, Dawie de Villiers. Dawie, thank you very much for your time this evening. And I want to start here by looking back and saying that it hasn't been such a long time since you refocused and reconfigured the business and changed the name a little bit, but as the biggest retirement fund administrator in the country. The latest results show that turnaround has worked, and your focus on offering more retail advice is paying off.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on your show. Really appreciate it. And obviously quite happy with the set of results, as you say, in difficult circumstances. But, you know, I think we've all moved on from difficult circumstances. I think in corporate South Africa, we know we have to do the best with what we have, you know, and that was our focus certainly in the last number of years, to see what we can be the best at. And rather compete where you really can win and where you can be the best, you know. And I think that focus and the execution around that focus has really helped us with a set of results.
And acquisitions that you've made have been a huge help when it comes to your financial performance. And according to these latest results, you seem to be cash flush, and they are mulling over a special dividend even, and also are on the lookout to possibly make some more acquisitions and buy into some companies. What are you looking for in your next acquisition?
Yeah, I think, you know, you said a number of very true things there. And the first thing is the acquisitions added to the bottom line, and not just to the bottom line, but also to the return on capital, which means, you know, it delivered what we wanted it to deliver from a financial point of view. But then also, actually, most of our acquisitions has been, you know, to strengthen the strategic direction. You know, it added capabilities that we didn't necessarily have that we wanted it to add. So it actually delivered on both those fronts, which is why it's so pleasing. And that also proves that, you know, our acquisition strategy has been quite successful, and hopefully, you know, enables us, with the help of the shareholders and the board and, you know, management, to buy more and to do more acquisitions. So certainly, you know, I think that's one point. And then secondly, as you know, these acquisitions come along every now and then. It isn't as if there's a you know, a shelf full of acquisitions that you can just go and look for. So we must be ready when that comes along, which means two things. We must be ready to implement, otherwise you've got too many balls in the air and you might drop some. So the implementation and integration of these acquisitions are critical. I think we're there now. We've done very well with those that we have, and they're part of the business already. And then secondly, you must have available resources. So we're very strong with cash at the moment after all the capital that's been released from the sales of the businesses that we did, plus the insurance business that we did, plus obviously we generate quite a bit of cash. So we do have cash. We're not holding the cash for acquisitions necessarily. You know, if something doesn't come along over a normal annual period, we will decide what to do with the cash. And as you said, maybe a special dividend, maybe some share buybacks, or the like. And if an acquisition comes our way, we'll certainly look at it.
And Dawie, some good news today, and I'll take this opportunity to ask you on the two-part retirement system, which will allow, among other things, for individuals to access a third of their retirement funds before retirement. You are in that space. You've been a great supporter of the system. Now that Parliament Standing Committee on Finance says the start date is the 1st of September 2024, much earlier than what the National Treasury had said. What is your take on this latest announcement?
Sure, as you rightfully said, you know, I can talk for hours about the two-part, but let's talk about the benefits and how it will play out over time. The first thing is, I think, this latest development which came out today, that the date will be, you know, now firm on 1st of September, is actually a big positive. So, you know, as you know, the National Treasury wanted it 1st of March 25, which is what would have been the best result ever. The Parliament came back and said, no, they wanted, 1st of March 24, which would have been a disaster, not for the industry, but for the poor members, and this is all about the members. So the immediate access for members, they would have been told that they can get it on the 1st of March, but it wouldn't have been possible. No system, they wouldn't have had the money in their hands. And I think sanity prevailed, and we settled, not we, the Treasury settled on 1st of September. That will put us under a lot of pressure, but I think it gives the members certainty, it gives the industry certainty. And whilst I have, on that topic, I think it's quite important for your listeners as well, and this is, where I get positive about South Africa and I get positive about the South African environment. We've got a system, a financial system with a National Treasury, a Minister of Finance, who despite a lot of pressures from a lot of angles, stood steadfast and did the right thing. They could have very easily said, the populists want the answer to be 1st of March in 24. That would have been a disaster for, the system, and everybody would have looked like they failed. But government, the Treasury stood fast, and the Minister of Finance, made the call and made the call on September. So great news for all of us, ultimately great news for the member, because from then on, we'll have this two-pot which will give a little bit of access, but also preservation into the future.
Dawie, before I let you go and to hump on the response that you just gave about being so positive about the South African environment, tomorrow Statistics South Africa is releasing the third quarter GDP data, and I know this is a question for mostly economists, but you are a CEO of a large firm. What is your anticipation when it comes to how well or not we're going to do, or we would have done in the third quarter of 2023 with all the things at play, including load shedding?
Including load shedding and many other angles, and I think an ever more increasing, struggling consumer. So I think we'll still have disappointing numbers, and I think we're still going to have disappointing numbers for a quarter or so to come. For me, it's much more important to look through the dip and to see, when we start seeing changes. We've already seen, interest rate hikes stopping, and there's already talk about, future interest rate cuts. From the SARB, and those type of talks will release capital into the market, will make it a better growth environment, good for companies, good for employment stats, and I'm looking forward to those positive things that will happen into the future. But unfortunately, I think the next quarter or two might still be under pressure.
Dawie de Villiers is the CEO at Alexforbes. Thank you very much for your time.